I want to talk to you about the story of the crystal skulls themselves, because there's this strange sort of folklore attached to them, and then there's a lot of people that believe that it's all horseshit and that these were created by modern people and buried underground in order to...
Well, my understanding of it is, there you go.
Sure,
yeah, indeed. That's just the citrus model, the crystal driver. There were 13 heads, and it was purported that the Navajo, the Anasazi, the Mayans, the Aztec each had one. The most famous one is the Mitchell Hedges skull, which was found in the Yucatan by Anna Mitchell Hedges. She reached into a cave. She was with her grandfather, and it was around 1926, and she reached in, and there was an oilcloth covered item in there, and she pulled it out and opened it up, and there was the two-piece detachable jaw Mitchell Hedges skull. Beautiful skull. The Hewlett-Packard engineers did a test on it in the 60s. They said it could not have been carved by a lapidary, by tools. It had to have been polished over hundreds of years, over centuries, to get to the shape that it was. So they said it was a polished item. Let's see. There's the Mitchell Hedges skull, the Phyllis Newman skull named Max. She says,
wasn't that later decided by some people that this was not the case?
I'm gonna exactly get to that point, because of course it's important. It doesn't affect my business whether they're fake or not. These were beautiful artifacts, and we've recreated it beautifully. But it's nice to know the true story, and I have a kind of a thought on the theory either way. So there's the Phyllis Newman skull named Max. She has to put it in the closet because it talks to her. There's one.
Wait. Hit the brakes. I'm going to have to hit the brakes a bunch with you. You're an excellent talker, sir.
Oh, well, I was inoculated with a gramophone needle at birth. I could talk a taxi dispatcher into a vow of silence. I could talk an air raid siren to scrap. But
and you're obviously Canadian because you said slag.
Yeah, there you go.
I used to date a Canadian gal. She loved that term.
Oh, wow. That's another tangent, Canadian gals and Canadian guys. So the Philip Newman skull, she got it. Its name is Max. She has to put it in the closet because it talks to her, she said. So there's the Mitchell Hedges.
She still has it?
Yes, she does. Phyllis has that one. Then there's the Mitchell Hedges skull that's in Indiana. The man that took care of Anna at the end of her life eventually had it and got it. It sat in Grafton, Ontario for many years, and I never saw it, but people said when they walked into the room and she uncovered it with the cloth she kept it in, that there was an immediate feeling of well-being and healing coming over to look at the original Mitchell Hedges skull. There's one in Mexico City. It's one of our minis. It's got a cross stuck right in the top of it, which is, that would shatter a crystal if you did that. How that cross got there, I don't know. There's one at the Smithsonian in Washington, and two at the Smithsonian, Washington, D.C., and one at the Victoria and Albert Museum. So there's supposed to be 8 that we have and 5 that we're missing. The woman at the Smithsonian who has the 2 there, I think they're a cloudy orange one and a cloudy green one, and they're smaller. She says they're all fakes, that they were carved by a German lapidary in the 1800s, and that he seeded them around the world. Well, wait a minute. I think one was found in Tibet. One was found in Ohio, we're hearing, at the Serpent Mounds.
Why does she think this one gentleman did it?
Because he was an expert lapidary. He had the tools to do it, and she figures... Her theory is that they're not artifacts polished by tribal hands and passed down, that they're all fakes. But it's just, wait a minute, he would have had to have had an airship to go and deposit these wherever they might be around the world. You can get the pictures of the skulls up, the Smithsonian crystal heads, and the Smithsonian crystal heads you can get in Victoria Albert crystal head.
Do they all have the same similar type of markings?
There's theirs. Yes, they do. They all have the same. Now, you see, some of them are more are clearer. See, there's one at the British Museum. And there's some that are clearer and are more beautiful, and there's some that are rougher, like that one there, and the green and the orange one. But she says all fakes. But if they're all fakes, how did they get to these different places around the world, and how were they found?
Well, here's the thing. But why fake? The word fake is very strange, because it's like they are certainly real carved crystal skulls.
But were they from tribal ancestry?
Right.
That's the question.
Who made them? Is the question.
Who made them?
From modern Western
and
people?
How? Were they polished or were they carved? That's the thing. Aren't they beautiful? Oh, God.
What do the indigenous people say? They say they found them?
The Navajo say they came from the Star Children, that they were brought down and deposited and given to them as crystal ball devices, scrying devices too.
What's that one down there, Jamie? Keep scrolling where you were.
The green is beautiful.
The one on the left right there that looks almost like a real skull. Oh, it is a real skull.
Yeah, no, the green is beautiful. So So I guess, I don't know, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a professional historian. I guess I have to trust the lady at the Smithsonian, but then I question, they were found at different times in history around the world. How do you go and seed? How do you deposit them there?
Why does she believe that? Has she given a coherent reason why she thinks that they're all hoaxes? Or is she
I guess
like,
she's done her analysis, whatever they've done, to their skulls. But again, the Hewlett-Packard engineers took that Mitchell Hedges skull and they said this have not been polished. It would have been cracked or destroyed. It could not have been built by tools. It would have been cracked or destroyed. It had to have been polished. Yeah.
So, but what about some sort of a very fast-moving drill with a diamond bit on it that can slowly grind down?
Well, that would be there'd be marks that would be visible under the scanner.
Couldn't you polish those marks down?
I think that the intensity of the Hewlett-Packard scrutiny revealed that there were none of those marks, and that's why they were able to make their claim.
Here's the problem with this: is like you want them to be real, right? Don't you?
Oh yeah, I love the legend.
I do too. I do too. But I don't trust me.
No, neither do I.
So
that's why I say openly.
When you're saying all these things, I want to believe you. I want them to be from the sky people.
Mm-hmm. I do too, but again, you've got a professional in Washington at our National Museum there who says no, they're not.
Yeah, but what does she know?
Well, we could.
She might be one of them party poopers.
Get her on the phone.
She might be a party pooper.
I think that she's probably as in love with the skulls, even though they are, not polished in her mind. I bet she loves them as much as we do.
But the thing is, if you are a professional intellectual or someone who's a curator of fine artwork and ancient relics, you kind of have to be one of those people that dismisses anything preposterous. Because if not,
that's right. Like Neil Tyson, don't you love him?
Yes, I love him to death.
I love Neil, but there's no way you can sit down and say Neil, Barney, and Betty Hill were abducted by a flying saucer in 1957. He's not going to accept that because he can't accept that because everything in his training, everything in his knowledge, everything that he knows about physics and science and propulsion and the universe and how to get from place to place defies the legend, or I would say defies the theory that there are extraterrestrial advanced ships out there. He can't accept it. It's just, it would be unprofessional for him to say, okay, there's even a possibility that there were abductions. But
the Betty and Barney Hill story is very interesting, but there's no real evidence other than their testimony. Is that correct?
Well, there was a stain on Betty's dress. There's her excellent recall. He was unconscious.
What was the stain on her dress that's so interesting to you?
It was a fluid that they used in the testing, that some kind of a fluid,
the
a chemical.
Alien testing?
That they did when they drew ova from her and they drew sperm from him. Now, so there's a book out called Contact by Stanton Friedman.
I read that.
Kathleen, I'd love to know where the car is. Where the Chevy they were driving.
Oh, it disappeared?
Where is that? I don't know. I'd have to ask Kathleen where it is. Did it end up in a junkyard? Because there were marks on the back of the car as well. There were trace evidence in the back of the car. Ted Phillips is. He goes around the world collecting trace evidence and radioactive signatures from sightings and landings. On the back of the car, there was a couple of marks, but it was Betty's. It's their credibility. Why would they want to bring this into their lives? And she was conscious, semi-conscious through much of it, and Barney was not conscious. He was unconscious. If you hear the tapes of Ben Simon's interviews with them under hypnosis, the screaming and he was just so frightened. Yeah. And the Zeta Reticuli map, when the being Betty looked at the map and the being showed her a map as she was on her way out the door, and she said, "May I take this?" And the being was going to give it to her, but then another one zipped up and said, "No. You can't have this."
Zeta Reticuli is exactly the same place where Bob Lazar says they found those with the spaceships that they have at Area or S4.
Well, the Little Greys, Zeta Reticuli, Barney and Betty's abduction. You had Marjorie Fish, an amateur astronomer. She took the memory of Betty's. Betty drew up the star map, and she did a three-dimensional scale model of that part of the universe and was able to identify Zeta Reticuli 1 and 2 and accepted by astronomers. So that map that Betty saw aboard that ship had not been seen on Earth before.
And Betty has history of astronomy or no studying it?
No, none of it at all. And interesting things like when they got back to the house, the house was open and the keys to the house were on the table with leaves so that they might have dropped them at the site and the beings returned them. Now, you know who Bud Hopkins was?
Yes.
He said that since he studied the Linda Cortila case, where the woman was floated out of her apartment building over the East River, and Orange Orb picked her up,
Tell
plunged
people
into
who
the
he
river.
was. He was the guy.
Bud was an artist. He was a graphic artist. He was a designer, a painter, and a lovely man. And he was one of the first people to start to deal with the trauma of abductees. He got a reputation for being able to interview them, hypnotize them, interview them, and get their stories and empathize and sympathize with them. And he said that in some cases that he studied, the beings would grab a man from somewhere in America and grab a woman and out of their cars, out of their clothes, put them up, test them, draw ova, draw sperm, fluids, whatever they were doing. And then the woman would wake up in the man's shoes or a different car, or almost as if the beings were finished with them. I don't care where they go now. Yeah, I put them back, that kind of thing. He said that was the oddest phenomena.
Like releasing a trout.
Yeah, that's
like
right.
If
well,
you
I think that's
catch a trout, you catch a big rainbow trout and you're fly fishing, and you got a barbless hook. Most people, if you go to Montana, go to the Gallatin River, shout out to the Gallatin.
Beautiful.
Gorgeous place. People catch and release because they appreciate that the trout are there. They'd rather go buy halibut from a store and not eat the fish because they want the salmon to be healthy. They want the trout to be healthy.
Well,
so they
love
catch
that.
them. And then they release them. But if you're a brown trout, well, brown trout are invasive. But if you're a rainbow trout, and someone catches you, and they take you on some 200-yard run down this river as they're trying to draw you in. It's a big 9-pound rainbow, catch of a lifetime,
Beautiful
right?
time.
And some guy pulls it on, takes pictures of it, like shows it, and then releases it. And then this thing's like, how the fuck did I get here? What am I doing outside of my universe? What am I doing in this other dimension of air where I can't breathe?
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's that's catch and
Catch
release.
and release with people.
Travis Walton says, you got to think of them as just people from over there. They're just
he's
people
the
from
guy
over
the
there.
Fire in the Sky movie was based on. He's
Yeah,
got
yeah.
another interesting story. Here's what I want people
credibility there, and credibility with Barney and Betty. I just don't think they're lying, and I don't think the Ariel school children are lying.
I don't want to think they're lying. This is the problem that I have with it. I want to believe them. But this is what I want people to consider, because most people that are pragmatic, reasonable people that don't want to be ridiculed, they look at these stories and they go, oh, come on, people are full of shit. And I've been there too. But I want people to imagine that if aliens did occasionally visit Earth, how often do you think this would take place? And how it would be very infrequently. And if it was happening, these would be completely unique, unusual occurrences out of nowhere, where someone would come down, they would do something, and they would be leaving the person with this thought and this memory and this inability to describe it with normal words. If you were taken aboard a spaceship and you were some reptilian beings that were 3 feet tall were running experiments on you and you were paralyzed, and then they released you back on Earth, what words do you have available to you to describe this experience in a way that, like, if you tell me, hey, Joe, I went whitewater rafting with my kids. It was a great time. It was so fun. We got to see eagles, and it was gorgeous. And then we had lunch at this beautiful little cafe. What a great day. I can envision this experience. I can see it. But if you tell me, hey, man, we went camping, and I woke up, and some alien had a finger in my ass.
The Allagash incident, they went camping, and they disappeared.
Quite a few of those, right?
There's hundreds of thousands. And here, I brought you a book. This is Bruce Maccabee's book. It's all the headlines from 1952, 432 reports given. And I'll address your specific question about people, how they relate their experiences and how genuine they feel in a second here. 432 reports given the Air Force in 1952 on aerial sightings, ships from other planet. We've got memos from the government here. Former Army pilots sees flying saucer by daylight, whatever was cited here. July 30 stories, fighter pilots at Newcastle say alert for more saucer reports. These are newspaper.
Yeah.
That's yours.
Well, newspapers never lie.
Well,
I don't know if you know that.
Well,
they never make fake stories.
Well,
they never talk shit about people.
The New York Times is pretty reliable. Ralph Blumenthal and Leslie Keene are reporters for the New York Times, and they've been studying this phenomenon. They report very credibly on it. I'll tell you how an abductee's experience is related. I attended a lecture at the Fifth Avenue Medical Institute in Manhattan with my wife a few years ago. That would be about 15 years ago. And John Mack was the lecturer. You know, he wrote the book Abduction. He was the Harvard psychiatrist who wrote Abduction. You can get that up too, Abduction, John Mack.
Yes, I've read that as well.
Yeah, and
that freaked a friend of mine out. She was a very pragmatic, non-UFO believing person, and we were working together on news radio. My friend Maura Tierney, and she came up to me and she goes like, "This book is freaking me the fuck out." And he wrote a second book as well. Didn't he die in a car accident?
John Mack,
I believe he died in a car accident.
stepped off a curb in a small town in England, and he was struck by a car.
Yeah.
And 3 other John Macks died the same day in England.
So you think people were whacking John Max because he knew
well,
too much?
I don't know.
Let's take
Again,
them all out.
I was at this lecture, and there were 300 abductees there. That some who he'd interviewed with, some he had not, but who were there for interested to find out more about their experience. And one guy got up and said he had one arm, and I don't know whether that was related. I don't think it was related to the experience, but he said, "I'm a Wall Street broker. I'm quite well off. I have a sailboat. I was in Long Island Sound a few years ago, and a blue light hit me, and I had missing time of about 5 or 6 hours. But in it, I have filtrated memories of beings addressing me and telling me that I was powerful and influential and I could help the planet survive. And they put me back in my ship, and I woke up, and he said, "I'm waiting for them to come back. I want them to come back." And I asked the room, I got up and I said, "Of all of you who've been taken, how many of you would want to repeat the experience or have it happen again?" And about half of them said, no way they'd want it to have it happen again. And half said, yeah, we'd like it to happen
Half.
again. Yeah. Half, yeah.
Now, I love a good
So Bruce signed this to me, and I'm going to give it to you. And it's just got great. It's got great headlines from the 50s, which was a massive time for saucers. You know that famous photo of the saucers over the Capitol, the glowing lights, and yeah.
See if you can find that photo, Jamie, because it is quite interesting.
July 1952, Washington.
Do you
sightings.
think this was initiated by the detonation of the atomic bombs at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, where they decided, okay, these fucking monkeys are doing some stupid shit. We need to go down there and see what's up and see if there's imminent danger to the cosmos. Let's find out what kind of capabilities they have. Because if you listen to Lazar, or if you believe the work of Zecharia Sitchin, or any of the people that believe that human beings were engineered, that there's the reason why there's this giant leap between us and the rest of the primates on the planet is because something came down and manipulated our genetics.
Well, the movie Mission to Mars with Tim Robbins, basically it says that. Basically it shows the face on Mars, and that is one of NASA employees' favorite movies. Yeah, there they are. Yeah. 1952 UFO incident. Thank you very much.
Look at that photo. That is a crazy
beautiful
photo.
Come on, let's go here now,
That's crazy.
folks. Yeah, that ain't an airplane. That ain't a helicopter.
No, it's a crazy photograph, and it's from 1952. I mean, the special effects back then were incredibly crude.
No,
this was something that was reported by
thousands of people. They scrambled jets from Andrews for it and everything.
As well as the Phoenix Lights.
The Phoenix Lights is fascinating because the Fife Symington, the governor, said he saw them. He made fun of it with an alien.
But he
dummy.
talked about that afterwards.
Yeah.
He was put under pressure to do so.
Yeah.
He's in a movie called, what is it? There's a documentary on Netflix. It's available that he's in. That he talks about the pressure that they put on him to make light of that incident, and he talks about his own personal experiences with seeing some sort of triangle-shaped craft that was enormous, the size of several football fields. It was flying overhead, that was completely silent, and how it freaked him out. I think
the triangle and delta crafts are very, very interesting. But the Tinley Park incidents of the 80s, and with Sam Maranto as the investigator there from MUFON. These things would park over the family barbecue for about half an hour. And, families in suburbs were looking up at the sky being blotted out by these things parking above them. So I think it comes down to I don't think these beings, Lord Hill Norton said there were 23 different species visiting the planet in 23 different types of ships. I don't think they want a formal relationship with people on Earth. They want an informal, secret relationship. I think they probably have one with elements of black elements of the Air Force and the government. You know who David Sarita is?
I've heard his
David
name.
Sarita. You should have him on. He's very knowledgeable about this. His theory is that the Roswell event may have been precipitated by the Trinity explosion because there was such an interdimensional disturbance of the atoms being split and that explosion. There was that saucer there that went down in 47 may have been influenced somehow negatively by that explosion. Now, Stanton Friedman didn't buy that. I loved Stanton. He just passed away there. He was the expert on Roswell.
Yeah, I'm upset that I never got to meet him before he died.
He was so credible,
an interesting
and so
guy who believed in UFOs, but believed most people were lying about them.
Really?
Yeah. Well, he believed that there was a lot of horse shit going on, including Bob Lazar. He thought Bob Lazar was full of shit.
Again, why would Bob go out there and do that and compromise his life?
Well, let me tell you something. After talking to him for 3 hours and then having dinner with him the night before, I used to believe I had the best bullshit meter in the world, but as I've gotten older, I've gotten more honest. I didn't see anything. He's an incredibly smart guy, and he's not a guy who's like seeking out attention, and he's not profiting from this. In fact,
just his demeanor and everything. Jeez, he's like an accountant.
He's a legitimate scientist.
Yeah.
And I've talked to him. One of the things that I engaged him with when we had dinner, we talked about science, just science in general, and we talked about all sorts of different things. And he's a scientist. He's a legit scientist. I've talked to a lot of them.
Yeah,
I know what kind of person he is.
And they just hassled him again. There, they rated his nuclear isotope.
They think he has element 115. That's what they think.
Wouldn't we all love to have that?
Yeah, that's what they think. That's some artist created that thing up there with element 115. And
element 115, indeed. Well, if you get a little sliver of that, that would be pretty exciting. Yeah.
He talked openly about it in the 90s that he had managed to weasel some away from the Area S4. And they think that he still has it.
Yeah.
But there were some experiments that he had done that George Knapp had actually filmed that had showed some really bizarre distortions using this stuff, and then it was able to. I got to remember exactly what it did that they showed, but they did some experiments with like steam or smoke or something like that, where they showed element 115 emitting some sort of
vapor.
Well, no, it was emitting some sort of a field. Where you literally couldn't physically touch this stuff.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, that's where we were heading this one day. So we all packed up. We're in Beatty, Nevada, which is the Burro Inn. I can tell you that's where we always hold up at. And we take off from there every morning to go do the AM and the PM push. That's what you call it when the war is on. You call it the push. So we had one in the morning called AM push, one in the afternoon PM push. So we were all heading up for the AM push in a convoy. There's 3 vehicles, probably about 3 to 4 people per vehicle. I'm in the lead vehicle with the ranking guy. He's driving, and I'm right behind him. And then there's another gentleman in the passenger seat across from the driver, and then there's a young lady next to me. And we're all going up. And the ranking guy had been there the week before, and he had seen the craft fly by. Because that one's out there on the internet. You can pull down the video. There's a report that goes along with it.
There's a video that we can watch right now?
Right now, yeah.
What would he search?
Search for, let me think, Nellis Test Range UFO 1994.
Dun, dun, dun. Who filmed this?
This was filmed by the operators on the range because we're putting these pilots in a risky situation by playing war with them, but we're training them. So if there is any kind of a mishap or a pilot or plane goes down, everything needs to be recorded. So
this is it right here?
Yes. So this video is being taken by one of these cameras that's up on the range. And along the bottom, you see that this is also trying to lock on to the craft so it can, follow it as it goes in and out, because this is the kind of way that you want to track if there's a craft that is having problems. And
This is moving very erratically.
Right. So this is what the ranking guy saw.
Can I pause you for a second? This tracking, is this manual or is this like some sort of an automated system?
It's an automated system.
So the automated system is having a hard time
locking on
to it.
Yeah, if it locks on, you'll see a big spike, and that means that it finally locks on. Right now it's trying to, but something is stopping it from locking on, and they think it was the craft.
It's moving like crazy, side to side, all over.
There's actually a recording that goes with it where you hear the guys going, "Hey, does anybody know what this is? What's going on here?"
Can we hear that? Okay, the sound is terrible.
Yeah.
They need better mics.
Honestly, that's the
Do
way
we
it
have
sounds when
podcast
you're
mics?
working up there. But
Oh,
anyway,
I'm sure, but he's saying, what is that? I don't know. We're having a hard time locking onto it.
Right.
Right. This is the video operator. So the following week after this happens, this video is taken. The ranking guy who had been there the week before and saw this thing flying, he takes us in this. When you go on the range through this one gate here, it goes up a little ways, and then there's a cantonment area. It's got a very small place where you can change your tires, get gas, just minor maintenance to get your butt home if you have a car that's busted. And then in the back of that cantonment area, there's 2 huts that look like campers, really, glorified campers. So the video operators are in the one that's off to the northeast of the cantonment, and in the very corner of it. And the ranking guy just says, we all have to go in here. We're going to go talk to the video operators. We have to do this. And this was because the week prior, everybody came back to garrison or back to our unit, and they had seen this thing, and they were all talking about this UFO. So we go in there, and there's the video operator. He has us all write our names down, whether we were there and saw it the first week or not. Then he makes us all sit down and watch that video. And he says, do you know what this is? And we're like, no. And then he just said, okay, thank you. And then we, after everybody that was there saw it and wrote their name down, we were allowed to leave. And that was all that was required. And so I was like, well, what was that all about? But then as I'm exiting, this lady that had been sitting against the wall on the far part of this little hut that we were in, and she like grabs my arm and she just says, there's somebody on the range, don't talk to him. And she was really, really freaked out. And I'm like, thanks, strange, freaky lady, got it. And I'm like, whatever. So we all hop out, we get in the vehicles, and then start taking off towards Quartz Mountain, because right at that cantonment area, there's a hard right. There's a hard right that goes off to Quartz Mountain. And about a mile, half a mile to a mile down that road, it's all dirt road up, by the way, there's this guy. It looks like he's wearing a uniform like we are. He's got battle dress uniform on. So he sees us, and he starts to look like he's running, and he's got this really weird run, like his arms are kind of flailing behind him. It's like he was running against the hurricane wind, and it was like he was going to fall over at any time. And I was like, yeah, it's a bit windy today, but it ain't that bad. So it looked really strange, and then I began to notice his skin tone looked like he might be hypothermic. And I'm thinking, oh, crap, this dude's been out here. It's freaking freezing out here, because it was a very cold day, and the wind was blowing. It was, those cold days where it didn't matter how many layers you had on. And so as we're getting closer, I'm talking to the ranking guy, hey, we need to slow down. So anyway, I'm thinking, this guy's probably in big trouble. I need to pull off my jacket. I need to give him something to get warm real quick. So I'm starting to do that, and we're approaching, and by the time I get my jacket most of the way off, he's right there at the corner of the front of the car. And
So he looks pale? Is that what you're saying?
He looked like an albino with a very bluish kind of undertone. If you could imagine,
So you're assuming you're immediately associating that with he's freezing.
Yeah, because that's all I could equate it to.
Right.
And then as I'm starting to open my door to try to administer aid to this guy, the dude in the front passenger seat screams he's got no ears. And I thought that was pretty rude, because I was like, the guy's in trouble.
Does he have a hat on? He's
got a hat on, and he's got BDUs that look absolutely clean, pristine. And when you're uprange, you do not wear your cleanest uniform. You're in a dirty environment. You wear your scuffed up boots. You don't take them with you.
So he's got clean battle dress uniform.
Everything.
United States military
very out of
uniform
place.
on.
Yeah, it looks very out of place when I finally do it. But anyway, I step out onto the roadway, and this guy screams that he's got no ears. And I just thinking it's really rude. And then I close the door, and I look up, and he's got no freaking ears. And his eyes are twice as big. And I just am like, yeah, what the hell did I just walk into? This guy's not from around
How
here.
far away from him are you?
Probably from me to
Just a few
Logan.
feet.
Yeah, just talking distance.
Okay.
And I'm starting to freak out, but then he starts to talk to me, and it's not my language, but it's coming to, the understanding is like coming into my mind about every word he's saying.
So he's actually saying words.
He's saying words, but it doesn't sound like anything I've heard before.
But you're understanding what he's saying.
But I'm understanding. So I know there's a telepathic thing going on here, and it calms me down at the same time, because I'm having to respond to him. And he's like, hello, I'm having trouble with my craft. I need some repair material. Do you know where I could find some tritium? And this is what he's talking to me about. And I'm like, you mean titanium? Because I didn't know anything about tritium at the time. But titanium, he's like, no, it's not it. And I'm like, well, at this point in my career, I had just left the program. So I knew where Dreamland was. And I pointed to the mountain range because you can see for days in the desert. But I pointed towards the mountain range and I said, Dreamland's just over there. And this wave of emotion hit me like disgust. Like, I am not going to talk to those barbarians and murderers. You know. And
Wow. So he was saying that to you, like his reaction to going to the military base. Was,
exactly. Yeah.
Was not.
He did not like it. He said, "I am not going to talk to those people." And then I was like, "Well, shoot."
And it was barbarians and murderers.
He literally that was what he called them. Yes. And mentally, that's what it was. But the
Is
emotion.
Tritium, is this a real thing?
Well, that's what I've had a lot of friends. There's analysts also that were on the top secret network that were trying to help me understand what material.
We were throwing everything at him. We're like, is it this? Is it this? And he's
and then
like,
finally,
no.
that's the one. When they hit tritium, I was like, that's what it was. That's what he said.
And what is tritium?
It's a type of, well, can he bring it up on the?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because it should pop up on Wikipedia pretty quick. But it has some properties that probably would work.
Tritium. Are you saying tritium?
Yeah, tritium is that's the stuff that's in loom, like in your
Yes.
watch when your watch glows. That's
Yeah.
you know they make those where they're basically like radioactive isotopes that stay lit. So like if you get like a Marathon watch. Marathon makes military watches, and it doesn't need like this watch. You need the light, and the light charges the loom, and then when it's dark out, you could read the hands for like a few
It's
hours.
the thing that they used to put on the end of the guns, right?
Exactly, they still do. A
Yeah.
lot like Sig has them
Now,
on
look
their
up
guns.
tritium also. Put an end
Tritium
in
is
there.
just a lot. It's
I did that. That's not giving me much.
so tritium, chunky glow in the dark glitter. What is that?
Oh, these are all these are game websites.
Oh, I
I
see.
don't know.
Okay,
Trying
so
to
it's
find-
tritium, then I may be mispronouncing
But
it.
tritium that's that radioactive isotope.
Mhm.
That's the stuff that emits light.
Yep,
So emits a weak form of radiation.
yes.
A rare radioactive isotope of hydrogen with a half-life of 12.3 years.
Hmm.
Okay.
So this is what he's asking me for.
So he's asking you for that stuff? Tritium?
Yep. And I'm like, I don't know where to get.
Oh, look at that. It's used in boosted fission weapons and thermonuclear weapons. Oh, great.
That sounds reassuring, right?
I wonder what the fuck it's doing on your wrist. Is there anybody...
This is what the best image that we have of
Oh.
what he could have looked like.
Oh, boy. Can you send that to Jamie?
Yeah, I don't know Jamie's number, but we'll
Here.
find a way to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that an
If I
iPhone?
had,
Yeah,
if I
this
had
is
my
an
phone, I would, but it's
Airdrop
out
it to
there,
me.
I think.
Yeah, airdrop it to Jamie. Do you know how to do that?
There was
How
that
dare
one.
you not know how to do
Oh,
that?
and there's a
Your
three-dimensional.
guy works with UFOs. You better know how to do that.
Well, there's a three-dimensional image of the craft as well that is really spot on from what I saw that day.
Yeah.
Because not only did I see this guy running towards us and talking to him, but off the shoulder on the north side of the roadway, that's where the craft was just resting on the desert floor. And I got a really good look at it at that point. And this guy did a 3D rendering of the description, and it's spot on as I've ever seen. It's almost perfect.
So he asks you for tritium. You tell him this is what it looked like.
This is what the guy looked like, pretty close to it.
Yo.
The nose was a little bit rounder on the end, but that was a really good rendition. But yeah, his eyes almost came out to here on the temple.
Wow. And that would freak me out.
It freaked me out. I mean, honestly, I'm not an easy guy to get freaked out, but that really put that like you just saw an alligator pop up out of the water kind of thing.
Right. So when you tell him go to Dreamland, it says I'm not going to go where those murderers and barbarians are. And then what happens?
And he said no. So I was like, well, where else can I possibly point him to? Because I'm like, I don't know any metallurgists or whatever. So I'm thinking to myself, and I relate to him. I said, well, I'm taking college classes down in the city of Vegas, Las Vegas, at the community college. But I have a geophysical professor that I'm taking a class from, maybe he has a metallurgist friend, and he's like,
So you're
"Oh,
thinking at this time though it's a metal,
I am, yes.
right? Because you're thinking it's some kind of like titanium, some type of.
Right. And there's also when
This
he,
is the 3D image of what the craft looks
that
like.
is almost as spot on as I've ever seen. That is about it right there. That's almost exactly what I saw resting on the desert floor.
And so you're trying to find different people that you can connect this being to.
Yeah.
And what is it saying to you while you're?
He thought that was a good idea, I think, or he was like, I mean, made him. He had that kind of, and he wanted to take action. So he doesn't really even say goodbye. He just kind of turns and off he goes back to his craft. And I'm thinking, well, okay. And I get back in the car, and sometime during that conversation with this entity, I remembered looking over at my friends in the car, and they had the weirdest look on their face, like they were all zonked out, totally zombied, like they couldn't even. They were just drooling on themselves.
Were they just because they were flabbergasted, or was it
I didn't
because
know.
something was going on?
Well, I figured out that maybe it was done by this entity because none of them seemed to even remember the incident. Only a few people seems to remember that we stopped, that we had talked to somebody on the roadway, but it was mainly the people that were in the back of the convoy.
So they didn't see it up close like you
Right,
did.
like we did. The people
So how
that were
far
right
away
there,
would they be?
they'd probably be a good 2 car lengths behind us.
That's still enough to detect whether or not someone looks blue, though, right?
Correct, and that's probably what they saw. But you know me, I'm kind of wide and I'm big. I was very muscular back then.
And you're standing in front of this thing.
So they'd have a difficult time because this guy stood about a good half foot shorter than me. And so they probably could see his arms from time to time, maybe catch a glimpse of his face or something. So they probably didn't get a very good view because if you're looking at me, I'm standing right next to my door. And they're behind me kind of almost obfuscated by just the angle that they're looking at him. So all the windows are tinted in those vehicles.
Now, I'm not believe it or not, I'm not into UFOs. I don't follow stories or,
Even after your experiences?
No, I'm fascinated with the technology, and it irks me like every night I go to sleep that, that it was my own doing, essentially, that prevented me from continuing on in the project. I mean, it's that to be on that cutting edge of technology is so alluring to me.
Right.
But by the same token, I don't really care that there's aliens or where they come from. I mean, the prize is the technology, and that's what I'm fascinated by. But so I don't listen to UFO stories and that sort of thing. But George Knapp is, he's the guy that has the contacts and tries to thread everything together. And what he recently told me is he found, I don't know, it was either documentation or people that he spoke to. It's that the existence of this project, the project that I was on, it's something that they seem to take out every 8 or 10 years.
So that's a very specific memo, and this is actually, this is the first time I'll be very clear with people about it. It's a big topic of conversation right now. It's called the Wilson Memo. You can look it up. Admiral Wilson met with a scientist who's actually was featured in one of my films. Everybody has been debating whether or not this document of a conversation with a sitting admiral at the time is a real document. It's an actual conversation that happened, and this document is real. Everybody wants to know. The world is going crazy right now in the UFO world. I'll tell you straight up right now, I'm in the position to know, and it is a real document, that it is real. So the conversation you read in that conversation was had. I can't attest to every...
You're not being very clear.
Sure.
Please.
No problem. So there was a document that is circulating right now that is really big. It's going around everywhere. People are asking and
What
wondering.
is this document?
It's called the Wilson Memo, is how you can find it online, or the Wilson Leak.
There it is. Jimmy's got it. The Wilson Memorandum. Use of human volunteers.
No,
I just wanna make sure that was it, yeah.
No, that's
No?
not it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Admiral Wilson meets with this scientist, and they have this discussion, oddly enough, at special projects at EG&G. And if I remember, the document is from 2001. I'm telling everybody right now, it's real. And we'll see. My history is pretty good with saying if something's real or not, right? So here we go. The document comes out. They meet at EG&G Special Projects. In 1989, they stumble into a problem. This happens. They put the technology away, and then they bring it back out and see if material science has caught up and if they can make any progress. So this document kind of talks about this process. the big thing I get from it, and a lot of it's vindicating to Bob, and one of the things that's vindicating besides the EG&G thing is that private industry, so this guy's an admiral, and he says, I found out about your SAP, your Special Access Program. I need to know about it. And he's going to a private part of industry, and he is denied access. And he says, I should be running this program. And they were able to deny him access. So I think the takeaway here is, check it out. I'm telling you that is an actual correct, that is a leak. Now, everything said in that document, I don't know.
What are you talking about? What is said in that document specifically?
It's between a scientist and an admiral that are sitting and they're having a meeting, and they're talking about the search for the UFO subject, the search to get special access program access to all of these different things like reverse engineering programs. So in this document, they talk about it. I believe that this document, the person that went was employed by Robert Bigelow, one of the guys that has a couple
Yes.
orbiting satellites and all that stuff.
He's the guy who owns Skinwalker Ranch.
No, he's
No?
not. He was the guy that owned
He used to own
Skinwalker.
it. Okay.
Yeah, he used to own it. There's a new owner, and I interviewed him for my other film, but there's a new owner, and you'll be hearing a lot more about that soon. But there's stuff that you'll be hearing about Skinwalker Ranch soon because there's a new owner. Anyway, the whole point of this insertion here is just that document kind of validates a lot of this idea Bob just said, that they make a little progress, then they can't go anywhere. They tuck it away, and then they bring it back out, 10 years later and start working on it. What is the limiting factor? I think Bob should speak on this, but it's the material science.
Yeah, it's really where physics is. So I can see them doing that. I mean, I didn't have any information on that, but I think what George uncovered is probably accurate. That we try and do what we can, and once we reach a roadblock, going, we really can't figure it out. It's just friggin' wait, put the thing away, wait for science to catch up, and a decade later, let's take the project out again and see. All right, now where can we go?
But there's got to be someone who remains informed, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you've got your scientists like you and Barry. You got your people that you compartmentalize. You got these people working on this
there
project.
has to be some people
Right.
that know everything.
You've got security, and then someone's going to be on the outside saying, hey, we need people to guard this building. Don't let anybody in for 10 years.
I think a lot of that is private industry, and I think that's how
Really?
they keep it. Yeah, I think that's how they because the government is just so leaky. I think that's kind of what they're doing.
That's what the document kind of proves. You just articulated that it is in control of private industry.
What private industry? Some aerospace company? Something?
I don't know.
Yeah, the admiral wouldn't name it in the car
Right.
in the conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
So they still have these things, supposedly.
I would guess. I mean, I don't have any information on that.
Have
at
you
all.
ever asked anyone that has any inkling of any idea of where they got them or how they got them?
No, but something must have been said to me from Barry, but it was just too long ago, and I can't quite remember what was said, but it just left a seed in my mind. I think at least one of them was part of an archaeological dig. So it's old. At least one of them is old. I don't know if it was the one I worked on, but I remember something to do with an archaeological dig.
Whoa.
So that means it's not just old, it's ancient.
That'd be a great Steven Spielberg movie.
Yeah.
Right?
As all of it would, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
that's
tripped me
all.
out when he said that for the first time.
Yeah. That's a freak out right
Yeah.
there. Just a couple of dudes with some brushes looking for a Tyrannosaurus Rex bone. They
And-
hit metal.
And when did they find it? That they have 9 of them.
Yeah.
Well, and how could we have not heard about that? What about the guys with the brushes? How could
Yeah.
you uncover something like that? And
Well, Joe's newspaper at home does. I mean, they said it on that first day.
Oh, you mean the Roswell
Yeah,
Billy
yeah, the
record?
one you told me. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a cover. What is this here, Jamie?
This is the document, but I had to do some digging to find it.
Yes, it's just kind of, yeah, so this is where they meet at EG&G, and this is Admiral Wilson, and there's a lot more coming out. Now, I want to be clear, George didn't put this out. He didn't leak this out to anybody. This is, I can tell you how
Who
I...
recorded this conversation?
So this was an employee of, at the time, Robert Bigelow.
And this is in 2002?
Right. Do you remember when he had that government contract called OSAP, the world all knows about now, and he had NIDS that studied the ranch? So that $22 million, everybody is saying it was for ATIP, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. The $22 million was for OSAP that was pushed through Congress, 3 congressmen, right? An astronaut. It was pushed through. And that's what that $22 million, by the way, they spend more money on Viagra every year than they do studying UFOs if it was just this program, which I think is funny.
They probably
in
make
the
a lot
military.
more money from Viagra
They probably
than
do.
from UFOs, too.
Well, you never know how it seeds into population. But anyway, this program, this is what was the mother program. So it got the $22 million. And really, it was to study Skinwalker Ranch. Oddly enough, that $22 million all was inspired by the phenomenon they were seeing at Skinwalker Ranch, because the scientists, they're seeing vehicles come through like a space in the sky.
Yeah, we went there. I went there
Right,
with Duncan.
yeah,
we interviewed a bunch of people that seemed full of shit, but a couple that didn't. It was very, very interesting.
Totally. And if you look, I spent a lot of time in the area. I'm not talking about those stories. I'm saying there were scientists hired by the government, right, through Bigelow to study the ranch because they thought it was important. And, whatever. The point is that $22 million was to study that. Then we have ATIP, which is like an auxiliary kind of program of military sightings, like Commander Fravers and that sort of thing. This document is just one of those things that has now come forward that through the Bigelow studies, it was government funded, and then it was personally funded and then government funded. It's just one of those things that kind of shakes you, because you got this military guy who can't get access because of the private industry that's holding these non-terrestrial materials, that they can't study it. So that's the claim right now. Give it some time, let people dig more into this. It's fascinating, man.
It's so unbelievably compelling, though, to consider the idea that somewhere out there, there's another civilization that may be even more advanced than us. And this thought of it is just so attractive. It's incredible.
There should be, if civilizations are common, or even slightly common, then there should be civilizations ahead of us.
Yes.
Because there's been so much time.
But wouldn't you want to see what that's like?
Yeah, I mean, we've been
so
around.
compelling.
You imagine the timescales. We've been around as a civilization. Let's give it, say, 40,000 years. I don't know how long our civilization's been around. Let's say that. The galaxy is pretty much as old as the universe. It's 13 billion years worth of time. So the idea that there are no civilizations arose, 100 million years ago, 200 million years ago, 1 billion years ago. And imagine what they'd be like if they'd survived. I mean, we've been around, we've had science for, let's say, since Newton or Copernicus, 500 years at most. And look what we've done. We've gone beyond the solar system with Voyager. We've walked on the moon. We're about to go to Mars, I would think. So we're about to begin colonizing our own solar system. So we've done that in 500 years. So imagine a million years in the future. So it's one of the arguments often used to say there aren't any civilizations out there in the galaxy. It's called the Fermi paradox. Because if you imagine a civilization that's a million years ahead of us, they should have written their presence across the sky by now. You should see them. I mean, you'll see us. If we survive a million years into the future, actually even a few thousand years into the future, we will be exploring the galaxy. We will have spacecraft that are going to other stars. We will be doing it. So our signature will become visible, I'm sure, if we last into the medium term.
Would we choose to not do that? Here's my thought on that: is uncontacted tribes. Like, do you know about the gentleman who was the missionary who visited North Sentinel Island and was killed by the natives? North Sentinel Island, which is a really unusual place because they branched off from Africa 60,000 years ago, and they've been living on this one small island the size of Manhattan. And as well as we know, there's only about 39 of them left, somewhere around there. Yeah. And we're not supposed to contact them. Like, people are not supposed. We're supposed to leave them alone, and they're a rare tribe. When they find them in the Amazon, the uncontacted tribes, our initial instinct is back off, leave them alone. Do you think that perhaps the universe, like if there is a civilization that's a million times more advanced than us and been around here for millions of years of life as opposed to 250,000, why would they let us know? Like, would they look at us dropping bombs on each other and polluting the ocean, sucking all the fish out and putting clouds into the skies of dirt and particles, and
Yeah.
why would they like look at these crude monkeys? Look at that. They're so far beyond where they need to be before they could join the galactic civilization
It's true.
network or whatever.
It is true. It's an argument that there is an argument as well that technology so advanced would be difficult for us to detect. I mean, we tend to think of, when you say written across the sky, I suppose it's true. I'm thinking of starships and things
Yes.
like Star Wars, right?
Right.
Big energy things that you can see the signature of. But actually, it may be that the civilization just becomes a nano civilization, tiny
Yes.
little nanobot, because that's more efficient. It's a better way to do things. So it's possible, I suppose, that there are space probes all over the place that are so small and are so efficient and use so little energy that we just don't see them. I suppose that is possible.
There's a theory that is actually being tossed about that these people that have this ancient, they have this memory of childbirth, right? So
Okay.
all of a sudden you're being born, there's bright lights above you, there's a man or a woman who's the surgeon with a mask that covers their face, so all you see is their eyes.
Okay.
And everything looks bright and it's terrifying and clinical, and you're on this table and everything's cold. Most of these alien abduction experiences that people recount, they take place in some sort of a medical
Hospital
facility.
setting. Yeah.
Yeah, and everything is bright and strange and cold, and they think that what this is they're saying that we had this idea that children don't have memories, that babies don't have memories.
Oh, I see what
so they're
you're-
saying,
yeah.
well, why wouldn't they have memories? That's ridiculous. Of
Right,
course they
yeah.
have memories. They have brains. They grab your
Right.
finger, they look you in the eye. They would have a memory of every second that they were born. And it's probably one of the most profound and disturbing memories, because before that, everything is incredibly
Yeah.
peaceful.
Yeah.
You're inside the mother's womb.
And then you're just like taken
and then
out.
you're pulled
and then,
out,
yeah.
and then there's this bright light above you.
Yeah.
You never experience any light.
Yeah.
So and your visual perception, your field of view is all distorted, right? This is the
Oh,
first
that's
time you're using
interesting.
your eyes. That's why people have
So
the
it's like
same.
tapping into this memory,
Yes.
this early memory. That's interesting.
This
yeah.
is a theory. It makes sense to me, because if you think about
Makes more sense than the abduction.
it does, because people don't really go anywhere. See, the thing about the abduction thing
Yeah.
is they put like cameras in people's rooms, and they say they have these alien abduction
Okay.
experiences, but they don't go anywhere. So
Oh,
what
that's
they're doing is they're
interesting.
dreaming.
Yeah.
I mean, which is
the
normal.
mind is amazing and
Sure.
and it's so powerful, and we know so little still.
Yeah. So
about it.
also like all these. I mean, it's kind of duh, because they all happen while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
Like 90
and you're
plus
right. They
percent.
They tend to be medical.
Yeah. It's very
revolve
medical
around.
in nature, right? You're being examined. And then there's also, going back to childbirth, there's also a lot of people that have these experiences that they are being told that either they're taking their baby away from them, or they're studying their baby,
Okay.
or that they had a baby inside of them that they didn't know
Right.
about, and that the aliens have put it there and they're taking it
That's
out.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it even goes back to the virgin birth, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's all very weird. But this memory that people have from childhood is most likely, probably a pretty intense,
Yeah, that's
powerful
interesting.
memory that's always there.
Yeah, and
Your
affecting
first memory.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
some people can tap into it, and some people can't.
Yeah,
clearly.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mainline historical books about
It's mainstream.
SS castles
Mainstream.
where they go, the aliens want blood, so they'd kill like 20 kids and everything. So the aliens would like come in.
What? Aliens are eating blood?
They brings them in like sharks. And then they would
Blood
like give them
does?
technology. They go, this is how it works. You build the atomic weapons this way. You build, and they would like show them bombers, and like the aliens are like telepathic. I don't even believe this. This is what the Nazis believe. And the aliens would mind meld and give them the technology. They're bad aliens.
So
are you surprised the Nazis were influenced by demons?
No, if demons are real, I would definitely think they'd be on the side of the Nazis.
Yeah.
But Joe, what I'm telling you is
think aliens
there'll
are
be
demons?
no media is going to attack this. I'm
But
giving
I
you.
want to know where I can read it. Where can I read those statements? That they were in contact with the aliens?
Well, obviously your podcast
Look
is
up
giant. I gotta use
Nazi Vril Society, VRIL
If you
Society.
let me put
He
a
had a
report-
group of chicks,
I tell you what,
witches,
aliens? That's
that were like
aliens?
right up there with them, like doing
And I don't have to come over
rituals.
for 3 hours. If I can fly here with a report a day
Okay.
before, I'll send it all to you with mainline books. I'll mail the books with tabs in them.
Okay.
And I'll mail documents.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Listen, I think that they absolutely were obsessed with the occult. That's been pretty well documented.
They made flying saucers.
Yeah, and I think,
Hey, did
got
you
me,
talk
Steven
about that?
Spielberg.
Did you talk about that alien craft that came into our
What happened? What are you
into
talking
our
about?
galaxy?
It did?
The one with the Hawaiian name?
Oh, so it's over.
You didn't hear about that one?
The one that looks like a joint?
Yeah, it looks or a big piece of poo.
Yeah. That's just a rock,
The big
right?
duty copter.
It's just a weird rock, I think.
No, they said that some like legit people said that it changed speed and went in different directions.
Oh,
and
legit people.
Legit people.
Oh.
Scientists.
Oh, them guys.
Said that it was. It could be something.
Could be.
What does Neil deGrasse say about it?
He's not talking right now.
Yeah, he's in a little bit of a kerfuffle.
Kerfuffle. What's this, Jamie? This thing right here. Harvard scientists say aliens may explain bizarre interstellar object. Yeah, I saw that, and then I saw someone refuting that
Harvard scientists. Harvard.
Nobody wants to believe more than me, bro.
Come on, Joe. It's real.
Well, if I was going to mask my spaceship to fly through the galaxy, I would definitely make it look like a big rock.
Yeah, like a big asteroid.
Right. Why wouldn't you?
Driving through space.
Maybe if they were like, look, if we just make this thing drive by them and don't change speeds, they'll have no idea. Just think we're an asteroid, and they'll be psyched that we missed them. Like, yeah, good call.
And the guy's like, left turn!
Someone just hits the gas. I'm tired. I don't want to. It's fucking taking too long.
What'd you do, Dave?
What? Dave, you got it. The fucking cops are behind us, Dave. Shit.
God damn it, Dave. You're not supposed to just take off.
I told you. 65, you fuck. Let's start throwing this weed out the window.
Why would it be so hard to believe? A space rock traveling through space.
That would be the move, right? I mean, if they're so advanced that they can travel through galaxies, they can make the shit look like anything they want it to.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you doll it up? Sounds good, doesn't it? God, I want to believe. So hard.
Well, I hope you do, because there's gonna be a lot of stuff.
Well, I want to know what you've seen though. So you've seen this piece of metal. What else have you seen?
I've seen many documents on the studies of these things, and I've seen a lot of the science associated with what the technology is and what it does. Like, I could show you, if I fold up pieces of paper and stuff, what's going on with it. But basically, these craft, they travel in a straight line, but they're folding space-time.
Like in Event Horizon, where they explain it by folding a piece of paper and punching a pencil through it. Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah, it's kind of like
fucking
that.
Movie.
But it's more like, here, I can draw it for you here. Not that this is it's kind of like when you have 2 points, we're used to traveling in a direction like that. Mm-hmm. And so when we look up, we see a plane that goes straight.
Right.
But these UFOs fold space-time like this. And so it looks like, to them, they're going in a straight line. So if you're in the ship, you see that. Mm-hmm. But if you're on the ground, you see that.
Oh, okay.
That's why you see them blink off and on. A lot of those videos, they're on, they go, it looks like they're jumping. It's just because of this.
So
they're
they
folding
have
space-time.
Some way of interfacing with space itself that's very different than our idea of traveling in a linear way from point A to point B.
Space, the fabric, they call it the fabric of space-time because it's like a fabric. It's malleable.
Now, let me ask you this. How often into a conversation do people look at you and think you are fucking crazy when you start talking about this? And how long
all
does
the time, yeah.
All the time, right? But do you ever get to the point where you're like, I don't want to talk about this?
No, because it's I always tell people, you don't know what I know. And there's a lot.
No. I mean, like, do you ever get to the point where you're like, I can't do this anymore?
No.
Like, people think I'm fucking crazy.
No, because I'm involved on the most important shit I've ever been in my life.
So you think this is like the most important thing that you've ever done in your life?
Oh, fuck yeah. Like, I have meetings with senators coming up. Like,
do you?
Oh, fuck yeah, I
What
do.
senators?
I can't tell you.
Damn, it's all this I can't tell you stuff.
I know, because this is some fucking tricky shit.
When is all this going to come out? Like, it seems like this is like eminent rather disclosure type shit.
Watch
right?
what my company does. That's what I'll say.
What
That's
a trip.
awesome.
Yeah. I love when someone is like that.
Yeah.
Like your friend that hasn't talked for 22 years. I love shit like that.
Yeah, you don't hear about that.
No.
Or someone that'll stop being in Van Halen to go fuck with swords. You know?
Or Tom.
Like, to go fuck with aliens. Yeah.
Yeah, goes fucks with aliens.
Yeah.
Do you think they're really bringing him to the Pentagon and shit like that?
I don't know.
Because he said
I
have
no clue. And I had watched a little bit of your podcast where you were like, well,
You sent me a text message.
Well, why are they picking you? You know, and I'm like, you know, but I feel like he's made himself readily available to do that shit. You know, like
right.
I don't know. I sit and scratch my head and go, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I just fucking He's such a talented dude too, man. He's like such a good songwriter.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's certainly a very talented guy. It's just so interesting that that's his main point of focus.
Yeah.
You know, I would think that if aliens were real, Trump would have told us. I really do believe that.
Yeah.
That guy he's such a fucking loose cannon. He became the president. Like maybe they hid it from him.
Or as fucking chaotic as shit is right now, it would I don't know, something would slip, you know?
I would think that if they told him, if they brought him, there's two things I would want to know. Who killed JFK? Those are two things I'd want to know if I became the president. And are aliens real? What do you got, motherfucker?
Yeah.
What do you got? I go to the top generals. I bet, look, I'm going to defer to you guys. I'm not a military expert, okay? And I don't want war, but I want you guys to have support. I got full respect. Tell me about the aliens. What do you got? What's this? Trump orders establishment of Space Force.
I mean, he did that.
That's right, the Space Force.
Yeah.
But that's because that's actually a military strategy because they're concerned that as technology improves, Russians are going to be in space and we're going to be in space. Or fight off the aliens.
Yeah.
Right, like Will Smith type shit. Yeah, look at him. Yeah, Mike Pence is behind him going, Jesus is going to save us. Yeah, I don't know, man, but if I became president, I never will, but if I did, those are the two things that I'd want to know. Who killed JFK and where are the fucking aliens? Like, I got home from the Comedy Store at like 2, and then I watched some goofy, I've been on this UFO documentary kick.
Watching UFO documentaries?
Yeah, I told you it was David. I started talking about it.
Yeah,
but,
we were talking about that. What were you? Did you have something specific that you saw recently?
Yeah,
the documentary.
2 of them. One of them is Area 51, Bob Lazar, and Area 51 and flying saucers. It's a documentary on this guy who claimed that he worked on these alien ships in Area 51 in the 1980s.
That gave me chills.
As time's gone on, more of the things that he said have proven to actually be true.
Like what?
Including an element that he talked about, element 115, I think it was called.
Like an organism from outer space?
No, an element, like a man-created element, you know, like there's carbon.
Right.
There's an element that they created that he talked about way before it was ever publicized. And he talked about this thing, and then it turned out to be true. He talked about these, there's these hand monitors that you would put your hand on this thing, and these metal lines would detect the distances in the bones of your fingers, the exact distances, and everyone is different. It's like a signature thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that they could find out if it was you or not you that was trying to go through. So the way they would scan people, the bioscan, would literally measure the bones in their fingers. And people said that was horseshit.
Wild.
He talked about this in the 1980s. People said it was horseshit, but then later on turned out, no, they did have that in Los Alamos. They did have that in Area 51, and that this technology was very, very
advanced.
Not just very advanced, but very not. It was not well known at all. Like very few people did. And this guy who was creator of this documentary, it was very difficult for them to get photos of this hand scanner. But this hand scanner did exist and existed exactly as this guy described it.
In the 80s, I mean, that's super progressive for that time.
There's also
even
people
for now.
that did approve his top secret clearance to get to this place. They know that he actually worked there. There's people that worked in the same Los Alamos lab with him. They tried to say he never worked there, but his name's on the manifest. It's very strange. It's like they've tried to erase parts of this guy's past because he filmed a bunch of their crafts as they were flying around. Like he knew what days. This is the thing. That thing right there, you put your hand on that, and it actually measures the distance of the size and length of your bones.
That looks like something that's inside of an escape room in L.A.
It does. It's hilarious. It's so true. But
Doesn't it?
I went into this documentary skeptical.
As you should.
Yeah, but I'm so done with all those things. But listen to this guy talk for a while. After a while, I was like, what if he's telling the truth? Like, what if he is actually telling the truth? Because if he's actually telling the truth, there is some part of the government that had access, at least in the 1980s, to alien technology.
You believe in UFOs?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Really?
Yeah.
See, I believe in there's other other life forms out there.
Yeah,
but
that's what
I don't.
believe.
I don't think they're coming here.
They might. Here's the thing. They might. Well, why not think it? Just because here's one thing I do believe. Most people are full of shit when it comes to like most of their stories. Like it's hard to find a person that could just tell you what happened based on what they really remember. People want to jazz things up and they want to add salt and pepper.
Yeah.
They
Had
just
sex with me, did this, did that.
They don't necessarily tell you the truth. They tell you what they think is going to be an engaging story that kind of represents the truth, maybe. Especially when it's a weird thing like you saw something in the sky. What did you really see? How long did you look at it for? How many seconds was it?
Well, I mean, here's the problem I have with UFOs. I believe there are UFOs, but I don't think they're coming here.
Why would you say that?
Because that means first of all, if they're coming here, that means their technology is way more advanced than ours.
Right.
So why would they care if people saw them? They would show up, if I was an alien and I was that far ahead of us, I would land that bitch right in the middle of Times Square and be like, what? We are here.
But why would you do that?
But why wouldn't I?
Well,
why
for
am
a
I
couple
hiding
reasons.
in fields where nobody can see us?
Are you aware of how we treat uncontacted tribes?
Yes, to
Yeah,
a point. But what I'm saying is, if you're that far advanced, they know. If they're coming here, they know. They're way smarter than us, right? Because they've traveled here, right? And we don't even know from far distances we can't even imagine. And they're here. They don't have to hide. It's
But
just
do you
like,
think they do it because they have to hide? Or do you think maybe they do it because we can't handle it? Because we can handle it.
Why would they care if we could handle it or not?
Because here's the problem. Whenever any civilization has ever encountered a civilization far superior to them, the results have always been catastrophic every single time. Every time Europeans have invaded North America, every time the Spanish visited the Mexicans, every time that this has happened, it's been a disaster. And this is human beings. If there was something that came down here from another planet and was so unbelievably sophisticated that it could travel through vast distances in space and had insurmountable, impossible technology, that we would look to it for all of our answers. It would become our new daddy. It would completely disrupt all of our governments. It would disrupt all of our religions. It would disrupt every single belief system we have. And people would fall apart. They wouldn't know what to do. Psychologically, it would be devastating. Look, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist, but I know most people would not be able to handle it.
I understand that, but why would they care?
Because
that's my whole point.
Because
why would they care about
because
us?
they would be affecting our culture.
But they wouldn't care.
But why wouldn't they care?
But why would they care?
We care about animals, bro. There's a reason why we
Yeah.
have wildlife protection agencies. We have that because we care about animals. And animals don't even know we're a thing. Okay, if you're a deer living in the forest and you're 2 years old, you might not have ever even seen a person. You don't even know what the fuck we are. But we're trying to keep those deer alive. We spend billions of dollars every year protecting them. We do that because we care about wildlife. If we cared about a rare monkey that we found in Indonesia in the forest, some strange monkey, we would do whatever we could to make sure that monkey's populations thrived. If there was a way to help them, I mean, that's one of the reasons why zoos exist. They take rare animals, they try to breed them in captivity,
But we're also sharing the same Earth.
well, then maybe they look at the universe that way, and maybe they look at nuclear civilizations like our civilization. I mean, our civilization's a very dangerous one because we're a bunch of semi-hairless monkeys with nuclear weapons. I mean, we're fucking nuts, bro.
Oh, yeah.
And we're obsessed with sex. We jack off to our phones. We're taking pills to keep our dick hard. We're all on speed. I mean,
we all have ADD.
I mean, these are and we lie. We lie about shit. We lie about things that people did to us. We pretend people did worse things. We pretend that we didn't do things to people. We lie about stealing. We lie about money. We lie about all kinds of things. I mean, people are
So you're thinking
crazy.
aliens are thinking about all that before they come down.
Of course they would. When you discuss the cosmos, maybe the single most intriguing possibility to us as human beings is what other intelligent life, if any, is out there. And how interesting is that to you? Because you spend so much time studying the fundamental particles of the universe itself. How interested are you in the possibility of other intelligent life forms? Or have you just like put that out into it's just so ridiculously unlikely or so far away from us that we're probably never going to make contact.
Well, you see, it's not so. There's this SETI program where they're looking at to see whether they can see signals from distant civilizations. The problem there, from my perspective, is that although they might be out there, they've got to have had a real head start on us before you would see them. Right. They might have done so, but then I don't know. You see, actually, Vahir Gurzajan, who's my Armenian colleague, and who looked also for these ring-shaped things, and looked at them in a different way from the Polish people. But we seem to have seen something there. But we wrote a paper in which we speculated on beings from the previous eon communicating with us. And the advantage there is that you're looking at the really advanced civilizations,
really
right at the
advanced
very end, you
civilization
see.
from billions of years ago, that their universe disappeared and then had to come back to a Big Bang state
The
again.
signals could come through, yes.
And somehow or another, those signals remain.
It's conceivable. I agree
Whoa.
it's pretty far-fetched, but, who knows what...
So
advanced-
eons, how many billions of years are you talking about? Like the Big Bang was 14 billion?
Yes. But you see, that's way at the beginning, in a sense, or it's three-quarters of the way through in another sense. It depends how you draw the pictures.
Right.
In the sense of interestingness, or in the conformal picture, we are already three-quarters of the way through.
So 14 billion to now, so we have how
you
many
can't
billion
count
left?
it as years, you see. The
Right.
trouble is it's a cheat.
It's a cheat.
The year count is as much as you like. It depends on something else. The mass has to fade out, and how you measure time becomes problematic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's either infinity, you see, which isn't much use, or you might have a different definitions of time, which depend on what particle you're using as your clocks and things like that.
So are you essentially saying that it's entirely possible that we are the furthest in terms of our technological achievement and our understanding of the universe itself? It's possible that we're at the front of the line, that there might be some other intelligent life forms in the universe, but they might be behind us.
Well, there would have been... I mean, I'm not saying they got through, you see. Well,
Right.
maybe they have techniques for getting through, but that's a bit hard to imagine. But maybe information from them could get through, and maybe
You mean from the previous eon?
Yes.
Oh, they might have got through, like somehow or another survived.
Yes, but it would have to be in the form of photons or something. Yeah, no, you could. It's not. I'm talking about ridiculous speculation.
Sure,
now.
but
So,
encoding information
Yes.
into photons?
Yes.
Wow.
It's conceivable.
Sure.
Now, I don't want to say that I see it happening or anything, but it's not out of the question that they could develop some technology which would get information, which might be them in some sense, across in the form of photons.
But you're not optimistic about current intelligent life somewhere in the universe?
Not too optimistic, just because... well, maybe it took us a long time to get going because the dinosaurs were there for a while, and somebody might have got in there earlier in their different planet, and they could have got there quite ahead of us. It's conceivable. I'm not going to rule it out. I'm just not terribly optimistic about it. No, I think it's worth doing. It's worth looking.
Yes, but it's not something that you're
But
really
it's not
curious
something
about.
I'm expecting. It's not so much. I'd be curious certainly, but I'm not expecting it, I guess.
Now, there's a theory that is actually being tossed about that these people that have this ancient, they have this memory of childbirth, right? So all of a sudden you're being born, there's bright lights above you, there's a man or a woman who's the surgeon with a mask that covers their face, so all you see is their eyes.
Okay.
And everything looks bright and it's terrifying and clinical, and you're on this table and everything's cold. Most of these alien abduction experiences that people recount, they take place in some sort of a medical
Hospital
facility
setting. Yeah.
Yeah, and everything is bright and strange and cold, and they think that what this is they're saying that we had this idea that children don't have memories, that babies don't have memories.
I see
And so they're
what
saying,
you're-
well, why wouldn't they have memories? That's ridiculous.
Right,
Of course they
yeah.
have memories. They have brains. They grab your
Right.
finger, they look you in the eye. They would have a memory of every second that they were born. And it's probably one of the most profound and disturbing memories, because before that, everything is incredibly
Yeah.
peaceful.
Yeah.
You're inside the mother's womb.
and
know,
then you're just like taken
and then
out.
you're pulled
and then,
out,
yeah.
and then there's this bright light above you.
Yeah.
You've never experienced any light.
Yeah.
So and your visual perception, your field of view is all distorted, right? This is the
Oh,
first
that's
time you're using
interesting.
your eyes. That's why people have
So
the
it's like
same.
tapping into this memory,
Yes.
this early memory. That's interesting.
This
yeah.
is a theory. It makes sense to me because if you think about
Makes more sense than the abduction.
well, it does because people don't really go anywhere. See, the thing about the abduction thing
Yeah.
is they put like cameras in people's rooms, and they say they have these alien abduction
Okay.
experiences, but they don't go anywhere. So
Oh,
what
that's
they're doing is they're
interesting.
dreaming.
Yeah.
I mean, which is
the
normal.
mind is amazing and
Sure.
and it's so powerful, and we know so little still.
Yeah. So
about it.
also like all these. I mean, it's kind of duh because they all happen while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
Like 90
and you're
plus
right,
percent.
they tend to be medical.
Yeah. It's very
revolve
medical in
around.
nature, right? You're being examined. And then there's also, going back to childbirth, there's also a lot of people that have these experiences that they are being told that either they're taking their baby away from them or they're studying their baby
Okay.
or that they had a baby inside of them that they didn't know
Right.
about and that the aliens have put it there and they're taking it
That's
out.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it even goes back to the virgin birth, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's all very weird. But this this memory that people have from childhood is most likely, probably a pretty intense,
Yeah, that's
powerful
interesting.
memory that's always there.
Yeah, and
Your
affecting
first memory.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
some people can tap into it, and some people can't.
Yeah,
clearly.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also a theory while natural childbirth is supposed to be less traumatic. Like women having natural childbirth in
Yeah.
a bathtub,
Yeah.
that is actually
Well, we're kind of like moving back to, it's men start to get involved in childbirth around the 17th century, 18th century.
what happened before then is
It was
hung
mostly
out.
women. So women in the village would come, and actually the term gossip comes from the idea the women who would spread the word in the village that someone was going into labor, they were called the gossips. So they would spread the word. It became sort of a
wow.
negative thing later. So the gossips would spread the word, the women would come in. This was a female-only chamber, and men were not really allowed in. A man might be brought in if the mother was dying or if the child was dying, and then in that case, instruments were brought into the birthing chamber. So the doctor might come in and he might take these sort of forceps and pick the baby apart and take the baby out. The baby would die.
gosh.
But in those cases, it was like really extreme. Like this was going to happen. Like either the mother was going to die, the baby was going to die. Both of them were going to die.
Or if the baby's coming out feet first. they
Yeah,
have to
I mean,
go
but
in there
a
and
midwife,
spin
a
around.
capable midwife could handle that. But this, the cesarean section, people think that it comes from the term, the idea that Julius Caesar was ripped from the womb of his mother.
Right.
But it's unlikely that story is true because his mother lives into old age. So probably the term cesarean comes from the Latin term meaning to cut. And the first sort of record we have of this happening, I think, is in the 16th century. And it's a farmer. And he takes the instruments that he uses to castrate his pigs to cut this baby out of his wife. Yeah. And we don't have any records of whether this probably didn't work. Again, no idea of germs, all this kind of stuff.
We don't know if she lived.
I don't have, there's no sort of, it doesn't follow, the records don't follow the story. But she probably died, and the baby probably died as well.